I need to put together my fuel transfer tank so that way I don't keep spilling diesel all over myself every morning. Then I need to put the thumb on the excavator. I'm about ready to get to where I'm by fence lines and stuff like that, where I'm gonna have to be plucking stuff out instead of using the Bobcat, and then loading up the dump truck with cedar trees from the back of the property and bringing it to the front, digging out all the big stumps from the trees. And then I'm also going to be going through and selecting which oak trees I'm going to leave for now. The ones that I'm going to have to dig the roots out with the excavator, definitely I'm not cutting down yet, but I am going to have to go through and cut a bunch of the limbs that hang down from the oak trees. I'm going to have to cut those down so I can get through and around with the Bobcat without hitting stuff. But this morning is going to be a little bit more different than the standard clear brush or those kinds of things. I don't know whether it's right or wrong, and I'm sure it's different for some trees and other trees. And I did for about a year and a half. I was getting a degree in horticulture, so I know a little bit about trees. Have forgotten a lot about trees. However, there is kind of a saying, and I'm sure it's not for all trees, but most trees, if it's growing down, cut it down. So basically what that means is if the limb is angling down, it's not as healthy, or it's healthy, but it's not as healthy for the tree as the ones that are growing kind of at an up angle. So the rule of thumb that people tend to go by is that if it grows down, cut it down. So if it's angled down, you cut it down. The other thing is kind of raising the skirt of the tree up off the ground. If a limb goes down onto the ground, it can get wet, stay wet, cause disease, mold, and all that other stuff that isn't good for the tree. And then go around, and that way I can get through. You can see there's a bunch of limbs that are growing really low to the ground. Go through and clean out around all of those. I don't know how much of all that stuff I'm going to get to today. It kind of depends on this excavator. I'm pretty sure that the hoses to the thumb didn't come with the thumb, and I'm going to need to measure and figure out what fittings and all that stuff, so that way I can call and get a couple hoses made after I get it installed. For now, I'm just going to strap the thumb up to the boom arm, and that way it's out of the way until I can get some hoses. But I need to go ahead and get that thing put on and that started, because here in the next couple days it's going to be unavoidable. I'm going to have to start using it. Until then, I'll probably video some of the stuff I won't video, and there's some limbs up there that are dead. And honestly, I'm just gonna break those off. There's about a 99% chance that I am gonna have to take all these oak trees out anyway. So I'm kind of probably doing this in a little bit of vain, but if there's some way I can save them and not cut them down, I'm gonna do that, because like, that tree's huge. I don't know if you can see how big it is or get it does it justice on the camera, but giant tree. So if I can save it, I'm gonna try and save it. If not, at least I tried. But for now, what I'm trying to avoid is kind of what's happened up here on the smaller limbs, where I've come through with the Bobcat and grabbed onto some of the lower hanging limbs on like the cab, or the loader arm, something like that, and ripped it down, and it wasn't clean, which probably isn't the best for the tree. So what I'm trying to do is cut everything off, that can get caught up on the bobcat, and it's gonna, you know, rip it off and leave a pretty bad scar on the tree. But more than likely, before you critique everything that I'm doing, I am about 95% sure all these oak trees are coming down. So like I said, I can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's like 8 that nine that are giant. They're like 3 feet in diameter. Ultimately, this is part of the section of the property that's being taken by the eminent domain. So these trees are eventually going to be in the middle of a road, so they're 100% in the next 5-10 years gonna be gone. But kind of have a soft spot for big trees, so trying to keep them around for as long as I can, and maybe they'll change their mind about a road or something like that. Financially speaking, hopefully not. Hopefully they bring in the road, because that'll bring a ton more traffic through the property, and that's kind of what I want. However, hate to see some of these trees go. All right, so building this thing wasn't too bad. It took about an hour, just about an hour it looked like. I looked up and these don't have to be vertical, apparently, maybe. It says something about maybe the water collects at the bottom, so I put it at 45. I'm gonna end up replumbing it in the future and come up out of the top and then over, so I can get everything over the I'll come out the other direction. That way everything will be over the tank and it only takes the footprint of the tank. But right now that'll work just fine like it is. I'll probably add in a swivel here, and then I might put a dedicated fuel water separator on it. The condensation in the tank can cause, you're gonna get water in a transfer tank, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a water fuel separator. Even though I have them on the machines, it'll just best to catch it as it's coming out of the transfer tank. The only thing I didn't see here is the plug, so I might want to make sure that has sealant on it. But other than that, now I'm going to get to cutting some tree limbs and then wearing myself out, then go get lunch, fill up the fuel tank, and then make sure it works. I think I have some of the battery jump boxes with me, and I'll use those for now. Eventually what I'm gonna do is build on a section to my gooseneck trailer, and I may not have to do too much work. It looks like there's already a decent spot for one, but put a battery in, kind of the same thing that you get on a boat, but get a battery, mount it to that cross section, then put a solar panel up there, so that way I can just keep the fuel transfer tank on the trailer, move it over to the truck whenever I need to go get more, which will probably be often. I was going to get the 100-gallon tank, then I started thinking about I probably can't pick that tank up alone when it's empty, but I can definitely pick up the 53-gallon tank when it's empty. I also drive by the fuel station on the way here every time, and the only other times I'd use it is out at my ranch. I do a bunch of work out there with the machines, and if I go through 50 gallons of diesel, more than likely I'm probably gonna have to head to town for something during that time, and if not, it'll give me an excuse to head to town, and because there's no running water out there, stuff like that. So anyway, I'm gonna get going on cutting some trees. I have an electric chainsaw. I used to have giant gas powered chainsaws, and then during the last freeze that hit Texas, I bought an electric one because my gas ones are actually getting fixed during the time that ice storm hit. And I got on Amazon and grabbed a DeWalt electric chainsaw, and I thought I was gonna have to give up my man card when I got it, and I'm probably never gonna use a gas one again. The thing's awesome. You put up a chainsaw for like a year and a half, pull it out, it won't start, gotta clean the carburetor, gotta get new gas in it, bad, get all that other crap, filters. The electric one, you can put it up, put a battery in it, push the button, starts immediately. It's great. So you can make fun of me as much as you want for having an electric one, but they're awesome. Everybody else is going to have one soon too. There's no reason to have a gas one. I guess if you are using a giant one, but still, I'm sure they make giant electric ones. Anyway, all of this coming up is going to be me cutting down limbs of oak trees and getting them ready to move out with the Bobcat. Bobcat's out of diesel. Gonna have to wait for after lunch to start the Bobcat, and I'll probably wait till after lunch to get the thumb on the machine too. I may hold that off till tomorrow, who knows. All right.